Hey, my fellow YouTubers. I hope you're all having a wonderful Friday night. So am I. So tonight I would do a Flashback Friday video, sharing my favorite memories to all of you. And here's one of them. So when I was in daycare, around 3 years old, yeah, I think I was 3 years old at the time. The staff at the daycare had the Beauty and the Beast soundtrack on cassette. And I know a lot of you remember those cassette tapes back then when we had the cassette players and we would play the album or a soundtrack. And then, of course, you gotta switch it to listen to the other side and then rewind it when it's all done. Oh, those were the days. So, anyway, I remember when the Celine Dion and Peebo Bryson version was playing, I would sit by the cassette player and just sing along to the song. And I would also sing along to the song when they would give the credits. Oh, the good old days. Another memory that I have when I had the Aladdin movie on VHS. Those are the days. When we had the VHS and we would rewind the movie when it's over. Those are the days. But I do remember in the Aladdin movie when it gave the first Lion King trailer when it was making the movie, and I remember seeing the part when there were real lions going to the Disney studio and the animators are petting the lion and the lion's just sitting there, letting them pet him. I was like, wow, those animators were brave. I didn't think it then because I was so little. I didn't understand it. But now I'd be like, man, those guys were brave. I would have been terrified petting that lion. I'd be like, get away. But yeah. And here's another memory I want to share. When I was little, well, my sister and I were little, like whenever my mom just wanted a break or had an appointment or had errands to run, she would, bring me and my sister to my grandma's. And, well, yeah, anyhow. And we would go to the basement and my grandma and grandpa would, be there in the basement and we would watch our favorite movies with them in their basement. So that was a good memory that I remember. Yeah, Aladdin was one of them. The Fox and the Hound. Yeah, Don Bluth's Thumbelina, Barney Live in New York City, Princess and the Goblin. The list goes on and on. So that was a nice memory. And yeah. And I always wonder, like, do you guys remember when Circle of Life would give on when the movie would start? You know how they go, na sing on ya, and it makes me wonder, what does that mean in English? And till this day, I still want to know what that African chant means in English. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, I don't think none of us are going to find out what that means. But anyhow, yeah. And I know a lot of you, remember The Lion King when it became a musical. Well, I know in New York it's Broadway, but here in Canada we call it musical or on stage. Yeah. Anyhow, if I do recall, I know like some of my friends, one of my cousins, um, and some of my teachers told me that it was awesome. Well, the musical. And I'm like, well, it sounds awesome. And I've seen clips on YouTube and it looks awesome. And then I thought to myself, how are they going to, do something from a movie and make it into a musical. And I gotta tell you, it takes a lot of work to do something like that. Like, I know the cast of the Lion King musical were performing on Dancing with the Stars, and it showed the part when that big elephant. I was like, how in the world are they doing that? Like, how are they not worried that they're gonna fall? Like, the person's gonna fall or trip over something or see. I was like, must have taken a lot of work. Yeah. Yeah. Anyhow, I mean, if you see video clips on YouTube, it can still count. I mean, it looks awesome. Yeah. And there's another musical that I've always wanted to see. I mean, I've seen the movie and the 25th anniversary on TV, The Phantom of the Opera. I wouldn't count that as a memory, but I guess I can mention it. It was way back in 1998 when one of my aunt's work, yeah, and yeah, so one of my aunt's work went to see Phantom of the Opera, and my other aunt and my mom went with them. Went with them. My my mom and my other aunt went with them the work to see the Phantom of the Opera, and they took a school bus to see it. My mom said they went to see a Princess of Wales, but I thought, can't be. Like, I'm not gonna say that I don't believe them, but anyhow, I'm not going to dwell on that. But I have a feeling that they went to see it at the Pantages Theater because that's where it started when they played in Toronto. When, well, I think it's called the Ed Mervish Theater now. Yeah. First it was the Pantages Theater, then it was the Cannon Theater, and now it's the Ed Mervish Theater. Yeah. So, I know my mom told me this story. Like, when she went to see the Phantom of the Opera back in 98, like, she remember the chandelier part. Like, I don't really know the chandelier part really well, but I've seen it in the 25th anniversary edition. Like, it looked like it was gonna fall on the characters, but it wouldn't. I mean, they practiced doing that. But I know my mom mentioned to me that she liked the part when the smoke was the water. When, and I'm like, that's pretty neat. Must have taken a lot of work for that to happen. And she also told me she wanted to see Paul Stanley as the Phantom, but never got a chance to. And I'm like, it's okay, Mom. At least you got to see the play. Yeah. And I know some people told me that they cried at the end. And then I even asked my mom, like, if she cried at the end. She's like, no. And I'm like, no? And I'm like, why not? And she's like, we just didn't. Some people may, some people may not. That's okay. Yeah. And another memory that I would love to share is when back in 2001, I was about 11 years old. Yeah, so I was 11 years old. So my cousin would have been 6. Yeah. And my mom and my aunts and myself and my cousin, we went with my aunt's work to see Mamma Mia, and we took the school bus. That was a fun time. First time I went to see Mamma Mia was at the 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 Royal Alexander Theater. That was the first time I went to see Mamma Mia. I know it was not the movie cast. I mean, the movie wasn't even made yet. So, yeah. It was with Camilla Scott. I'm I'm sure some of you may know who she is and some of you may not know, but I'll tell you who she is. She's an actress, I believe. I think my mom told me that she had her own TV show. I don't know, but I'll tell you this. She voice acted she played the voice of Mama Bear in the Berenstain Bears back in the day. And my mom and I were like, that doesn't sound like her. And I'm like, well, you do see her name in the end. Yeah, so first time I went to see Mamma Mia on stage was with Camila Scott when she played Donna. And the second time I went to see Mamma Mia, I was about, yeah, I was 20 years old. And the second time I went to see it was at the Princess of Wales Theatre. And the best part was, it was on a weekend. Well, it was a Saturday, and it was in the afternoon. I was like, that's what I like. I didn't have to worry about not going to school the next day or coming home late. It worked out fine. And I do remember we were sitting in at the bottom, so we got to see everybody that was in the show. Another fun fact, I know some of you used to watch Days of Our Lives, the soap opera, and the actor who played Jack in the show, he played Bill in Mamma Mia when I went the second time. And I didn't even know that. Well, you can't know everything. But anyhow, yeah, and I remember, getting the T-shirt. I still have the T-shirt, and once in a while I'll still wear it. That was a good memory, and seeing the movie was a good memory too. Yeah, I mean, I didn't watch the movie after I saw the play the second time, but we listened to ABBA after watching the show. Yeah, fun times. And what I remember doing is that when they were doing their encore and Does Your Mother Know started playing, well, the music, we all got up from our seats and started clapping and dancing along. And that was a fun time. And if I do recall, I remember had we had those hot dogs as a little snack when they had those carts in Toronto. That was a good memory. It was on the same day. And that day when we came back from the show, yeah, I believe we ordered pizza that night too. Yeah, we did. And yeah, at least I know I got to see Mamma Mia twice. And I have the movie. If I want to feel like, I'm in the mood for, ABBA, I can always listen to ABBA or watch the movie. It would have been cool if they had Meryl Streep and Amanda Seyfried and who else? Dominic Cooper. To be the cast in the musical. That would have been cool. But anybody can dream. And if Phantom of the Opera would ever come back to Toronto, which I doubt it will, because it retired from Broadway, I would have loved if they, picked Emmy Rossum. Oh, for those of you who don't know who she is, she's also an actress. She played Laura in the movie The Day After Tomorrow, and she played Christine in the movie version of Phantom of the Opera. So I would have loved for her to play Christine if they did the musical version again. And Patrick Wilson as Raoul, I would love to see him play him on stage. Gerard Butler, not so much. Like, they could have picked Hugh Jackman to play the Phantom or Paul Stanley in the movie version. But I would love to see Paul Stanley play the Phantom again. And you know who would have been a good Christine would be Anne Hathaway. Because Anne Hathaway sings too. Yeah. I mean, that's one musical I would love to see, but I'll never get a chance to. But it's okay. There's always the movie or the 25th anniversary edition. So it can count. Yeah. And yeah. Anyhow. And if they ever did they do like a Lion King live show on TV like they did with The Sound of Music and Grease, Little Mermaid Live, and Beauty and the Beast Live, here would be my dream cast. I would have picked Donald Glover as Simba, because he played Simba in the live action version, and he also sings. So he would have been a good Simba in the musical version of The Lion King. And Beyonce as Nala. And I know who the actor is that played Scar in the live action version. 1 second, excuse me. But I can't pronounce his name, so I apologize for that. But I see him more as Mufasa, by his personality. I see him more playing him than Scar. That's my opinion. And I would love to see or hear Jeremy Irons play Scar just one more time. Just one more time. Because he did a phenomenal job playing him. And his voice, amazing. I just want to hear him play Scar just one more time. If they do like a live musical version of the Lion King musical. Because I can imagine myself Beyonce singing Shadowland and Donald singing Endless Night. I think that's what it's called. I believe so. Yeah. And you know who I want to see one more time as Shanzi is Whoopi Goldberg. Just one more time. Because nobody can play Shanzi as good as Whoopi. Because she made Shanzi funny. And Whoopi is a comedian. Yeah. And the sarcasm that she did as Shanzi. Ooh. Like when Bonsai would say Mufasa, she'd be like, ooh. And I'm like, okay, Shanzi, enough. And the part that made me laugh when she says, there's no way I'm going in there. What, you want me to come looking like you? Cactus butt? Yeah. I would love to hear and see her play Shanzi just one more time. And Nathan Lane as Timon and Ernie as Pumbaa. Please, just one more time. That would make me happy. Yeah. Like, I don't know if Alive you noticed, but I used to think that, but not anymore because I have nothing against that now. Like in the musical version, I've noticed Rafiki was played by a lady, even though Rafiki is a boy. And it made me wonder, I used to think to myself, does Rafiki look like a lady to you? But now I don't because I have nothing against that now. Like, I have nothing against actresses playing the man's role. I mean, look at Aquafina. She played Scuttle in the live action Little Mermaid, and Scuttle is a boy. So, yeah. Like, even though they both change genders, Scuttle will be Scuttle, no matter what. Just like Rafiki will always be Rafiki. And, yeah. It would have been cool, my opinion, it would have been cool if, I think his name is Leboem. He's an African singer. He was originally doing the African chant when Circle of Life was playing. He also would have been a good Rafiki because of his African chants. But it's okay. At least I know. At least I know, like, both Rafiki was played by a man and woman. Yeah. And yeah, what other memories do I love? hmm. Well, seeing Beauty and the Beast on stage was pretty good. Well, I don't have much detail on that. I mean, it's just like the old classic. Oh, here were my here were my other ones that I loved. My first concert, well, my first live concert to see was NSYNC. That was my first time. Like, I remember wearing the NSYNC t-shirt I have. I don't have it anymore, but I remember wearing it when I went to the concert. And second concert I went to see was the Backstreet Boys. I was thinking to myself, like, I do remember it was 9/11, and I'm thinking to myself, oh, they're probably going to cancel the concert. But they didn't. And if I do recall, we did a memorial for the people that were killed in 9/11. Still breaks my heart thinking about it and talking about it, but it's okay. I'm strong. But I do recall that all the singers that performed at the Air Canada Center, that's where the concert was, they did a tribute to one of their friends that was killed in 9/11. So that was beautiful. And they continued the show. And I, I remember that it was a school night. And I was exhausted the day after the concert. Like, I did my best, to stay awake. Okay, I did stay awake, but I remember when my classmates and I were in the library, and I don't know, I just felt like exhausted because we came home late. Then my TA was like, "It's okay, put your head down." I only, put my head down for like a second or so. Only because that Friday was a PD day. Yeah. So, and yeah. And then second time I went to see the Backstreet Boys, they were touring with New Kids on the Block. Funny story. It was around Christmas time when my cousin and I were opening one of our Christmas cards. And then one of them said, "Surprise, gotcha." And I'm like, "Okay, is this a prank?" And then we looked closer, and I'm like, it's a ticket to the Backstreet Boys concert." Yeah. And I'm like, "Oh, I get it. You were playing the surprise on us." Yeah. It was really nice. We got to see them the second time. And the cutest thing I saw is when the group members took some of the girls from the audience and they were singing "I'll Never Break Your Heart" to them. And I'm thinking, oh, why couldn't that be me? I would love that. I I would love for them to sing that song to me. Sitting on stage and then they're holding, the girls' hands while singing it to them. I'd be like, oh. Only, well, only because we were sitting up high. So that's why. And yeah. And I had their songs stuck in my head the next day. Yeah. And I did mention about the High School Musical ice tour in my review on the High School Musical franchise, so I don't need to mention it twice, but I did remember getting that ticket as a Christmas gift, which was a really nice surprise. Oh, It's funny how, you tell someone, oh, you're so lucky, you're going to go see a show that I'm dying to see. But then by the time you're opening that Christmas present, you get that same Christmas gift. So it happened to me around happened happened like 3 or 4 times or two. I don't know. Second time that happened to me, it was Disney on Ice World of Fantasies. That was a good show. And then the Princess Classic ones when they was sharing the Disney princess stories. And the last Disney on Ice show I saw was Toy Story. It was alright, but it was nice to see. Yeah. And I'm gonna share this, and I'm not ashamed of sharing it. And I was still a kid at the time, so around 10 years old. But that still considers being a kid. Well, considers a kid. I went to see Barney's Musical Castle back in 2000, and I was 10 years old at the time. I'm not ashamed of sharing it, because when I was like a baby, toddler, I grew up watching Barney and Friends, so there's no shame in that. And seeing Barney, BJ, and Baby Bop in person, it looks so real. And they sounded the same, just like on TV. So, not ashamed of that. It was really nice. That was another memory. Like, kind of reminded me watching Barney Live in New York City on VHS. Yeah. And yeah. And here's one more memory I'll share before I do another Flashback Friday. My third birthday, and when we had Doobie the Clown, that was a good memory. And he was funny. Oh, good old Doobie. I'll never forget that guy. And that's one of my memories I like to share. So, you let me know what are your favorite memories you like to share. Comment below, and I will see you in my next video. Toodles!